The main important thing that people need to keep in mind, though, is that this little girl is still missing, and that is the main focus of today. But yes, this is the area where that shooting took place and ended down this road next to a mobile home park. Looking around, I can't see the flames or the fire, and that's because the fire is burning deep within the base itself. Now, another thing I can't see is actually the stars above me because we are just being blanketed with smoke. I'm sure you can see all this ash falling all around me. The original design of the hotel has since changed, and this is what the final product will look like once it's complete. Dan, while you were in the interview, there's just cars flying down, trying to get out of that campsite. We're talking about mass amount of families heading out. They told me that just within the last 20 to 30 minutes, they were woken up by park rangers and they said, you guys got to go. This is the final warning. It seems as though the Pentagon wants its money back. The Los Angeles Times is reporting that the Pentagon is demanding nearly 10,000 California National Guard soldiers repay huge enlistment bonuses a decade after signing up to serve in Iraq and Afghanistan. This is the last look of what we know of where this fire is heading. So right now they're really focused on the southwestern area because this fire is starting to move up this way. This 18-page lawsuit was filed on Friday by Jennifer Lindsay. Now she claims the school district failed to properly care for her son Isaac when he suffered a severe brain injury. We're going to start cooling down even more. Paso Robles dropping another 15 degrees. Santa Maria another 15. This looks pretty nice and this trend is going to continue. This is the crosswalk where the crash occurred. The woman died on scene. The man is still in the hospital recovering. You can see right here that some people placed out flowers earlier today. Now, Kenny Nichols, my photographer, actually has a special light on me. Kenny, why don't we go ahead and turn that light off? Now, this is what it looked like the night of the crash. What you're seeing behind me is LED lights the city placed in earlier this year. However, residents I spoke to say this is still way too dark. Karina, first, you got to check out the hat that I got today because I'm pretty much kind of adopted as a firefighter, teaching a lot of these students about fire safety. Well, here's a map right behind me by UC Berkeley that shows the state and how it's spreading. This is kind of where it started, here in the Bay Area. All the green shows the ones that are not affected, but look at this. All the red, those are the trees that are affected by that disease. The city is really battling stereotypes this year, and this new campaign is just to let visitors know there's a lot more to the city than the crimes that's making the headlines. Police are calling an attempted break-in was caught on tape at a home in San Luis Obispo, and now the video is going viral throughout the community. Well, police are hoping residents recognize the man who realized he was being filmed a little too late. Dan, this definitely could have ended in disaster. Now, police tell me Delgado is very familiar with the law here in San Luis Obispo, as he has been arrested a couple times on other unrelated charges. He is also known to be a local transient. Now, here is the pump that he allegedly tried to catch on fire, and right here is the diesel pump that he actually took out. It has since been replaced. Well, the Marine Lair has been the story throughout the week, and it's going to be the story going into the weekend as well. Well, Karina, there are 7 houses within this cul-de-sac for the project. These are the 2 that were damaged right behind me. All day long, people have been coming through to check out the damage. This is the one right over to the right that sustained the most damage. Now, this low-pressure system that was digging its way into the state is now starting to push its way out. What's following it is a ridge of high pressure that's slowly making its way in. This is the hillside right behind me. It is very hard to see, of course, because it is completely dark out here. But once in a while, you do see little specks of light. That's because deputies are just patrolling around the hillside. This hillside is located right next to a student parking lot that's actually right across from a bunch of student dorms. Now, one of the dorms, Muir Hall, is actually where Kristen Smart's dorm was. That is just a 5-minute walk from here. Crews plan to start digging this area come tomorrow morning. Well, Karina, it was mostly the younger voters, those millennials that waited until that midnight deadline on Monday. However, in speaking to the San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara County election headquarters, they think that this is just the start of many records that will be broken this election year. This young group of friends used to discuss movies and sports, but recently their light talk has turned political.
It definitely is something that's strange to me because before this, it was not a topic because we weren't able to vote.
Now old enough to vote, this will be Eric Unwin's first time. He made sure to register by Monday's deadline, since he says he can't bear to miss voting in this bitterly fought election.
I want to get at least my 2 cents in there, and hopefully that'll make a change in the future that I want.
In the final 48 hours before the California deadline, 500,000 registered online statewide, 5,000 of those from Santa Barbara County and nearly 3,000 from San Luis Obispo County.
Every presidential this happens, but at this level it's kind of a new ground found, I guess you can say.
The record number includes both new and updated registrations. It's not tallied yet how many are first-time voters, but nearly 60% were voters aged 17 through 35.
The voter interest is certainly being drawn by, the presidential contest.
It appears this election will break several records. Just last month, California climbed to the highest number of registered voters in its history, with now more than 73% of eligible voters ready to mark their ballots.
I think we're going to probably break a record in terms of voter turnout after this election too, and so we'll wait and see.
Well, the countdown is on. 2 weeks to go before Election Day. If you have any questions or want to cast your mail-in ballot early, the San Luis Obispo headquarters will be open again from 8 to 5 o'clock Monday through Friday. Live and local in San Luis Obispo, I'm Angel Russell, KSBY News.
SLO County leaders say marijuana grows are popping up all around the county. This has officials working on an ordinance to regulate grows. KSBY News reporter Angel Russell attended a hearing today. She joins us now live in studio. So, Angel, how many grows are we talking about?
Karina, we're talking about a lot here. The Sheriff's Office estimates there's more than 400 commercial medical marijuana grows in San Luis Obispo County alone. One particular area has more than half of those. Now, the Board of Supervisors is trying to figure out the cannabis cans and cannots before this number of grows grows. Along Highway 58 in California Valley, a community of fewer than 500 people with once empty lots are now filling up with acres of marijuana, fenced off, cloth hiding what's inside, and warning signs to keep people out.
The bottom line is it's like the California gold rush all over again.
But the new gold is green. Since there's no ordinance currently in place regulating medical marijuana grows in the county, business is budding.
This county is becoming known as sort of a lawless area and a place to go if you want to grow marijuana.
The board is starting to discuss how to regulate the crop. Everything from seed to sale, water usage, and how many acres or plants can be grown per license.
There are people that have medicinal uses for it and medicinal needs, and we just want to develop a rational strategy.
Sheriff's deputies are expressing frustration since a majority of the grow operations have no security in place, and the marijuana plants in California Valley are only weeks away from maturing.
We're talking multi-million dollars just sitting there, and even with the makeshift fence, it's not going to really stop people from going in, and then you're going to get the confrontations.
While the plants continue to grow, regulations are expected to take months.
We're trying to put something together rationally to make sure that all the different interest groups are represented. Well, today the county did agree to proceed with the draft urgency ordinance while they continue talks on a permanent one. Live and local in the studio, I'm Angel Russell, KSBY News.
All right, Angel, thank you. And a draft urgency ordinance will be discussed at the County Board of Supervisors meeting on August 23rd.
13 rescue goats used to live in this property that you can see is just gated off. When I was walking around earlier today, it seemed like every single resident around here had a story to tell about them. This week, 8 goats got ill. 3 of them ended up dying. And the residents and the owner of this property is wondering what could have caused this.
They've been popular with a lot of people and kids in the neighborhood.
This is a video from the Goats of North Morro Bay's Facebook page.
Well, we've seen them born, we've seen them raised to the point where they're adults.
For 3 years, 13 rescue goats have roamed this private 10-acre property.
Quite a lot of people come here and feed the goats.
Now this once large herd is down to 2. On Saturday, neighbors called police after they found 3 of the goats dead.
You know, to have 3 die all at once seemed a little unusual.
Among the ones that died, a female goat that was just 3 weeks away from giving birth to twins.
I feel horrible that those animals died. They were our friends. They were part of our community.
The goats live on a property that is the site of a proposed demolition project. On Tuesday, 3 days before the discovery of the dead goats, there was a community meeting for residents to voice their concerns.
There were concerns about traffic. There were concerns about the actual demolition.
This site was once owned by the Navy to store jet fuel. The new owner, Chris Matisse, is proposing to remove the tanks for future land use. He believes the goats may have consumed something poisonous.
And that explains why all the goats got sick, but some got more sick than others.
Matisse took 8 of the goats that fell ill to recover at a ranch in Fresno. He plans to leave the 2 that didn't get sick, a male and a female.
And so we're hoping that the herd can establish itself, and you know, because it is, I believe, a welcomed addition to the neighborhood.
Now, police can't confirm if this was an intentional act or some type of accident. They did tell me that if you saw something, say something. Live and local in Morro Bay, I'm Angel Russell, KSBY News.
All right, thank you for that, Angel. The next meeting to discuss the proposed project comes up on October 4th. We'll have those details online at ksby.com.
Well, Dan, in a statement released by owners Stuart and Linda Resnick, they say they feel ashamed and sorry and that they were asleep at the wheel when the clear cutting happened. Well, now they have a plan to help make things right again. A red-tailed hawk soars through the oak woodlands, and deer take shelter below its branches. This is the scene directly across from a now bare, nearly 400-acre property.
I have no qualms in estimating that there were thousands of trees removed from this site.
After local boycotts, the owners of the winery released a statement saying, quote, "We hope that the community will accept our deepest and most sincere apologies and find it in their hearts to forgive us. We want to make things right starting now," end quote. The Resnicks say they are canceling their plans for an agricultural reservoir and will now donate a 300-acre parcel to help restore the land.
If they donate it to Cal Poly, we've got a win-win situation.
Neil Heaton, a dry land farmer just below the Justin property, hopes students will be able to study the area's underground aquifer.
Without knowing how much there lies beneath and everything, we're going to run out of water, not just us, but everyone. Then we've got a lot bigger problem on our hands.
Meanwhile, 4 local restaurants have stopped selling Justin's wines. Greg Holt, owner of Big Sky Cafe, was the first to stop pouring the brand.
I read about it and I said, you know, I don't want to support that. So I came in here and immediately told my managers we're not going to sell their wine anymore.
I showed him the letter of apology by the state's agricultural billionaires.
Admitting fault in yourself and what you do is the biggest challenge I think there is. This is a great first step to making up for it.
Well, Holt told me he wants to see the winery go through with their promises before deciding whether or not he'll add the wine back to the menu. Live in the studio, I'm Angel Russell, KSBY News.